Hello, friends. Susan Axelrod here, the Confidence Coach. Welcome to the Confidence Zone. Not only is it Casual Friday here in the Confidence Zone, but I just got back from the sauna and I'm about to take Mr. Cooper out for a walk before I get myself fixed up for the rest of the day. I decided to come here like this because if you have been tuning in, you have been hearing me speak about a couple of things. One is focusing on high value activities, where I've been sharing Dr. John Demartini's work with you. Two is that I joined a second gym just for the sauna. I shared in a live this week how I made that decision and why it's important to me to belong to an entire second gym because my fit life is very important to me. And I remembered in particular how much I got from being in the sauna for those years that I did it on a consistent basis. When I discovered this new place here that I could access, and I went there just one time, sort of as a trial, I went into the sauna and I was like, it was so good. It felt like coming home in a way for me. As I mentioned, I'm a fire through and through. I'm a fire element. And I could only stay in for a few minutes. And so this week I've been going several times to begin to build up my ability to really be in the sauna. In that video, I mentioned that one of the things that happened in the sauna that I hadn't realized until much later, years later, in fact, was that I had these creative channels open. And it was at that time that after a little bit of that time that I started speaking from a deep desire to share what I've learned in life, hopefully so that you can learn differently and move forward more quickly. So I felt inspired to come here just a few minutes ahead of my regular time, live at 5, because something came to me today in the sauna like this. I was just doing my thing, minding my business, and I had this thought that I really am excited to share with you. You're probably familiar with what a type A personality is, although I do know people who never heard of it, but most of us are familiar with a type A personality, hyper-focused, hyper-vigilant, really on target, always getting things done, some perfectionist tendencies, really organized and on time, and really a pusher, a go-getter. I was a type A for many years, and in the end, it didn't go well for me. If you follow me, you know my story about that. And I worked for years in therapy, and I went on to medication, anxiety medication, and I began what I call my journey to enlightenment, my journey to the light, to change myself to be more comfortable in my skin and to be healthier and more emotionally well and balanced. So basically, I guess I would say I became a type B, if you're familiar with the type B personality. Eventually, after many, many years of this, integrating various modalities, especially being out in nature, doing a lot of walking, especially integrating a physical fit life routine into my life, especially focusing a lot on mindset transformation, which of course, you know, I teach now, I coach every day on it, which is getting in control of your own thoughts and learning how to quiet your insides. Eventually, over the last few years, I've been doing more work using Qigong as a modality, learning what Qi is, what the energy is that underlies the foundational system. And in the last year or 2 years, I think, I've been listening to long neuroscience podcasts. And it's not a formal education like getting an academic degree, but it has been a form of education for me. So I've really grown my understanding, grown higher and deepened my understanding of how the various modalities support us. And from a physiological perspective, why it's important, maybe in the confidence zone, you saw me share this children's human anatomy coloring book that I ordered so that I could become more familiar with the organs and the systems of the body. Today, I was thinking about how I've really become what I'm calling a type Z, Z-E-D, a type Z, which is not a person who's Zen all the time. Type Z, in the way I will be describing it and defining it and writing a lot about it, is not that you're Zen all the time. Most of us are not going to become monks, whereby you're taking away all the distractions in your life and in a very quiet, small space, but rather to have some ability to achieve a Zen state using various modalities that you learn and process and integrate, and being able to stay with that to support your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual state of being. Emotional wellness or emotional unwellness underlies so much of the stress that we face. The emotional inability to be in charge and in control ourselves, such that we're responding, not reacting, right? Not taking things personally, being more impeccable with our word. You begin to identify the 4 agreements there that I talk about frequently. And being a type Z is where you learn these things to support the way you want to be, to support your life, to feel better, which allows you to be better, to be more comfortable in your skin, to be a helper to other people, not a drain, to have a positive orientation in your life, to have positive expression when other people are suffering in difficulty, because we know that positivity is now a science. We know the science of gratitude and having a bright outlook on life, how that can support the mind, the body, and the soul, right? And so this is my definition of type Z. It's not that you're Zen all the time. For example, if you follow me, you know I talk a lot about Qigong now, and I spent an entire year last year focusing on self-care in my weekly accountability group. The entire year we were together. And we talked a lot about understanding the autonomic nervous system. I'm not talking about becoming a medical doctor or a neuroscientist, just to be able to understand it to the level that it can support ourselves, right? That's the capital S, supporting yourself in what I call soul connection. So there's the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. And for a while, I was like, oh, you always want to get to the parasympathetic, the rest, digest, and restore. You want to get away from the sympathetic, which is fight, flight, or freeze. But guess what? The sympathetic can serve us sometimes, because guess what's inside the sympathetic nervous system? Enthusiasm and excitement and, real extreme joy. That's sort of like the sympathetic activating up. So the sympathetic isn't always bad, although it can be from anxiety or stress or fear or anger. But we want to just have sort of more of a balanced understanding about where we want to be, and be in charge of understanding how we can activate up or deactivate when we want. That long, slow, deep breath in, long, extended exhales. Just one breath is all you need to really kick in that parasympathetic where you're quieted and calmed down a little bit. So a type Z understands all of this. The type Z is what I'm going to be reflecting on more and more. It took me years to recognize my type A personality and to deal with her and to kind of forgive her for how she overtook me and took me down emotionally. And that didn't go well for me. And then I spent years working on how to be a different way. Now I am a different way, and I'm in a whole level of deepness now. And that's why I'm here talking to you, to kind of share this back with you, to inform you about different things you can think about and perhaps a different way you want to be. So my question for you today is this: can you bring up Zen when you want? Do you have an ability to bring up Zen to support your heart, to support your soul, to quiet your mind? If you can, and you can be in excited enthusiasm, maybe you go off in anger, but you pull yourself back quickly, but you can invoke Zen pretty easily and quickly from having great modalities instead of impatience, belligerence, or quick to anger, or that sort of angry response before you, oh, I'm so sorry, it wasn't about you. You know, what level of ability do you have to invoke Zen? Can you take a breath? Can you pause first, etc.? I want to invite you to think about this and join me in really exploring this new way of being. Type Z is not being Zen all the time, but living a whole and balanced life where you have joy and enthusiasm and excitement, perhaps even some anxiety sometimes, and that where you're also able to quiet down when you want to and need to in order to support your mind, body, and soul, none the least of which is your heart and your system. If I can help you with this, you know I'd be happy to. I'd love to. Contact me and we can talk about what really is on your mind to become a different person, comfortable in your skin, perhaps a new way of being, and we'll see what we can do. Okay, my friends, Shabbat Shalom to those who celebrate, and to everyone else, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take good care.